Rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Welcome to our August 28th meeting. Please note, Ms. Solis is absent. The rest of council's present. I do want to welcome everyone here again. Our first item on our agenda is items from council. I know Mr. Bachner has some stuff to share. I wanted to also, the issue, of course, is insurance still. I'm sure we're going to hear all about that tonight. But I'd like to, since we talked about at the last meeting, the HSA concept that I brought up, I think, staff, did you email that to everyone? We did come up with a, regarding insurance, I'd like to do it earlier in the meeting, a concept or proposed idea for pre-funding of the HSA. Everybody got that email?
Yes, sir.
Pretty much?
Yes.
I'd like to just, can you review that for us?
I can, be glad
Now,
to.
and then, okay.
I'll be glad to. So the proposal was to pre-fund $1,000 into each eligible employee that's on the plan at the beginning of January 1, $1,000. So that helps, I call it seed money for that HSA. And then also the recommendation was to go ahead and do on October 1, the pay program for the police and fire step plan and market adjustments that it was proposed in the budget to do that on their evaluation date. So instead of doing that, bring it up to October 1. And Gilbert ran the numbers on that and has got plenty of spreadsheets that show by eliminating a couple of capital projects, we can afford to do that. And I had recommended the Leary Lane sidewalk and the library carpet project. Gilbert can show that if y'all wish to, or if you want to just talk about the concept or,
Well, I've got
okay.
the numbers, and did y'all got them in your email? I don't think, unless somebody wants to see anything up on the screen, I don't need to see it. But predominantly, I guess, like you just got through saying, I mean, that sidewalk project and then the carpet covers all of that. You did not mention the difference in, like, moving the pay adjustment to start at October 1 this year. You didn't mention the cost of that. That's about $340,000.
341,000, yes, sir, up front.
And then the other monies is about $500,000 to seed the $1,000 into the HSA,
Yes, sir.
500, okay. Well, we just need to be thinking about that.
Yeah, so if that concept is something that council wishes for us to do. And tonight, just as a reminder, there's not a vote on the budget, it's just a hearing, so the votes would come next week. So any changes,
Right.
Do you want to talk about healthcare now, or do you want to wait till the budget, since it's just a hearing, I guess not really a discussion time for that?
Well, I'm just thinking, for staff here, it might be beneficial for them to see what our thoughts are, so then they might want to speak to what we say. Just like, that's why I wanted to get that out about the $1,000 in HSA, so they know about it, and if they say good or no or whatever. So why don't you share your stuff with us?
One quick item before we do that, and I was wondering if Mr. Van Gundy could go up there. I talked to him briefly about this before. I had a constituent call this afternoon and said he'd be willing to donate if it was possible to get the concession stand open for kayaks. And I know that there's some challenges to doing that. He was really thinking it would be beneficial for this weekend to have it open, but I know we have a bunch of repairs to do out there, and I was hoping Mr. Van Gundy could just explain kind of where we are in the process of getting that open, or any other options that may be available.
Right now, where we stand on getting the concession kayaks facility open is we have engineering looking at a baseline flood survey to, they have not yet done that yet. They're scheduled to do that in the next week or so, I believe, and finding out what level we would have to get the utilities and stuff up to be able to start the repairs on that building. Now, once that is established, then we'll be able to develop some specs to be able to get a quote on to go up to that level. Now, we do still have mold and things in that building that the sheetrock needs to be cut out and those things, but until we get that base level, we don't have a spec to be able to give to a contractor to come back. I do not believe that we can open that up this weekend for that. Now, I know that the kayak service is offered, that there is his phone number that you can call, and he will meet at the boat ramp or wherever they're going to meet to do. So the service is still available if someone wants to use it for this weekend. It's just a matter of getting hold of Jerry's Kayaks.
But he needs a little notice, 24-hour notice or something.
I believe on
Something like that.
his voicemail that it states for weekends it's 24 hours and weekdays it's 48. And I don't want to be quoted on that
Right.
for a sense because it's not my business, but that's what I believe it was last time I heard the voicemail.
In an option, if we can't reopen right at that same location?
Well, I mean, I think there's, if you were looking at, if what you're leading to is building a facility, that would, we would need to go somewhere else in the park. That option has not been explored to this point, so I have no, not even a rough estimate of what the cost would be on that, Mr. Bucknut.
We have no belief that we can't reopen there.
Right.
We just need to get the floodplain certification taken care of, and then whatever work is needed, so.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought it up, and I got a text from him. I guess did I talk to you about that? I didn't tell you that before the meeting. I don't know who it was, but I think I know who. Anyway, I got a text, it didn't say who it was. I don't have the ability he's asking me to make it open. I can't do that. None of us can. I don't, these are FEMA guidelines, and we can't risk a relationship or reimbursement situation with FEMA by doing that. One thing, Colby, we're paying money for this insurance, paying money for this engineering review, correct, Charmel?
Well, we found out our own engineer can do it, so he's doing it for us.
Okay, outstanding. The reason I ask that is take a hard look at whether or not it's worth keeping that building before we spend a lot of money, then decide we're not going to keep the building. Because we could take the building out and make 3-4 spots for trailer food trucks. So just, if it's cost effective, fine. It's going to flood again, right, engineer? That's what's going to happen when the river, we all know that. That's part of what's so aggravating about all of this. But, okay, just want to be real sensitive to the cost and see if it's time to change something there, but
Sure.
talk about it more later.
Sure, and just clarification too, and Julie or John may have to help me with this, but since we participate, not just the city, the citizens of Victoria in the floodplain, the FEMA floodplain insurance, the flood insurance program, just like a citizen, we have to abide by that too. And if we choose not to, and then FEMA audits our records and finds that we're not abiding by our own floodplain ordinances, it could affect everybody's ability in the county or in the city to have flood insurance. So that's why I know a lot of people have asked, well, why are you doing that? You know it's going to flood again. Well, yeah, we know it's going to flood again, but we're following the rules just like everybody else does. Did I get that right? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, you want to,
Yes, so, really took to heart, I know everybody up at the dais has taken to heart the comments that we've received and know that the subject matter of health insurance is very sensitive and very important to everybody. I went back and re-examined our presentation, and I noticed one thing that jumped out at me. The PPO plan, as it was presented to us, showed all the cost increase going to the employees and none borne by the citizens or the city of Victoria. And so I just went back and I started looking at the PPO plans and said, okay, and I apologize, I got my splits wrong. It should be 74-26, but I have it as 76-24 because I'd picked it up somewhere. But I looked at the current PPO plan of 147.84, and then if we'd taken the increases that were presented to us and split it out on the 76-24 split, it ends up being a $233.49 for the employee only, a difference of $85.65, 58% increase. And you can follow that one down. I said, okay, well, I asked Mrs. Garrett, I said, well, what would that mean to us as far as a tax rate increase? Because this becomes a reoccurring revenue or a reoccurring expense for us every year, right? And so Mr. Reyna came up with these numbers for me. It's $916,000 is what that costs on the city's portion. I'm sorry. General fund, yes. 1.3 overall, but there's some decreases because of the two projects. But for this next year, it would be a .0172 increase to our tax rate. But when you're thinking of that increase, remember that the rollback increase is .0164. Okay?
Yes, I've
ma'am.
lost you. Is this to keep a PPO, or is this for the city to bear more on the high deductible? Just,
No, I was going down this road thinking that, okay, I'd like to keep a PPO. I'd heard that from some
all right,
employees of the city. And I wanted to see a comparison between the PPO increases versus the proposed high deductible, high premium plans. My thinking is that PPO is going to come out better once we put that cost into the city's portion.
okay,
All right, so then I looked at well, that 76-24 split doesn't work because we go back over the rollback rate. So what's a 70-30 split look like? Just because I was curious, I picked that out of thin air. And that's .0127 below the rollback rate, but a recurring of $794,000 plus the $500,000, so it's about 1.2 a year. So then I went to the high deductible plans, and one thing I noticed when I was looking at those is that to properly evaluate them in my mind, I had the rates for 2019 for high deductible plan 1, if you don't mind moving it, there you go. And I compared it back to the PPO rates because that's what we'd done before, where if you're in the PPO plan, you're probably going to go to the high deductible, high premium plan 1. And I said, well, the rate increases that we saw only told part of the story. Because it's not required, but if you manage your health insurance properly, you would be doing a monthly contribution to your health savings account. And so I said, well, what would a health savings account contribution look like that needed to take care of your deductible for the year? So you get the $1,000 seed money to get you started, but then you take your deductible, or $1,750, divide that by 12 and add it to your premium, and that's really your cost of that insurance. Okay, and so I did that for all the deductibles for all of them and came up with what that rate really looks like. And I did that again for the high deductible plan 2. Okay, so you can see that instead of $109, you really should be $375 for an employee only, counting your contribution to your HSA. Okay, and then I thought, well, surely the PPO's got to be better. And the final slide, I was very surprised when I looked at it with the HSA contributions. The high deductible plan really came out looking better, especially unless you were employee only. Then it didn't look as good as the PPOs. But as you went with employee plus children, spouse, or family, it came up better than a PPO and even changing the splits on it. Surprised me. I still do not like the fact that the increases are so high. But
No one's going to disagree with you on that.
yeah, but it drew a whole different conclusion than where I thought I was going to go. So unless we're able to look at a PPO plan that has different deductibles and different out-of-pocket maximums and different parameters that change that premium structure, I don't see how I could go with a PPO plan. It costs the same, if not more, than a high deductible plan to the employee, plus it costs the taxpayers over $1 million a year.
And
Is-
I'd like to make a point, if you don't mind. I want to make sure everybody heard you. The HSA is not required, and so therefore, that's why we don't calculate that. Because some employees might do it, some may not. And you made a good point, if they were, looking at how they would manage that, that's what they would do. But it's not, just, and you said it correctly, I just want to reemphasize that.
And that's
So,
that first one up there is the plan comparisons without any HSA contributions.
Sure.
That's the key, is if they're able to, someone may not be able to withhold that, I don't know.
Yep.
But, yeah. I think I
Good
follow.
information.
I was surprised. I was shocked. I really thought that the PPO would come out looking better, and really wasn't the case. And, I go back and I take part of the blame for this over the last couple of years. We were not able to give anything but a stipend one year and no raises another year, and we tried to limit the exposure of any medical premium increases. And by doing so, we really put ourselves back in a tough spot.
Well, there's some unknowns. We had some high-profile claims, right?
There were.
Very expensive claims.
But, and that's the frustrating part. We can't control those expenditures, how much those cost. And while a 12-month reserve 8 years ago might have been $7 million, in today's dollars, that's 3.6 months, 3.5 months, half as much, So it's just the cost of healthcare going up, and not keeping that fund growing with the cost of healthcare over the years helped get us in this position too.
Well, we've artificially kept, I think, the rates low, and kind of hidden that, and I think for good intentions. It wasn't for ill-conceived intentions, but the pipers come to pay, and here we are left not. And we're not even going where the consultants recommend based upon the health. Healthcare insurance is expensive. It continues to grow, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me, and I sit on the other side. I wish I was receiving a 10% increase in my pay. The money's not coming to me, unfortunately. This is a difficult place to be. I think our employees are our greatest asset here from our city. And the recommendations that have come forward as far as seating and kind of putting some improvements off, I think they're a good compromise, I'll put that.
Still not addressing the problem. We're just delaying the decision.
Well,
It's a house of cards.
what
Health
if,
insurance is going to collapse.
Yes, sir.
what if we experience this 8 to 10%, God forbid, more a year, where are you gonna be sitting in 3 years from now? Whoever's sitting up here, what are we gonna ask them to pay? Yeah, it's scary, so, I don't know. Is that all you?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that everybody saw that every stone's trying to be turned over. Make sure that we can provide a benefit to employees, but don't break them at the same time, and don't break the taxpayers. And that's the balance, and I don't know how else to look at it, except for, like I said, changing all the parameters of the PPO plan, where maybe the premium gets lower, but your deductible may be higher, your out-of-pocket max may be higher. There's gonna be a trade-off somewhere there.
Well, when we get to I guess we can have the public hearing. I mean, at some point, we need to talk about that HSA idea. So if y'all just want to think about it again some more, I like it.
I like
It's
it.
something we can at least do to help.
I do. My one concern about it is what happens to that employee that comes in April?
I understand.
And those employees coming forward, it's a paradigm shift.
It is, and it's the current employees right now that are not used to that. And so new employees coming in, they know up front what that's going to look like, so.
Right.
I have a nitty-gritty technical question about that, and that is that if we were to do that, that, is there a income tax report or requirement for the employee? I'm assuming.
My CPA is going to need to answer that.
And also, I guess, what's the income tax implication on,
There's no requirement on an employee at all. We just got to make sure the city directly fund that directly to the third party, to their accounts. It will show up, it's not taxable to an employee at all, first of all. But it will show up on the W-2 on box 12 as another code telling this is a HSA, a health savings account contribution, period, end of story. There's no taxable effect on the employee.
and then there is a corresponding, is there, at least from the taxpayer standpoint, there's a slight deduction in, or not?
No, because the deduction is they
Because
get
it's
to
not-
use that
okay.
tax-free when they go pay.
Okay,
medical
so
expenses, yeah.
no implication to the employee?
Now, if they want to
Okay.
take it out and not use it for something else, they pay a penalty.
Right, okay.
Yeah, reading up on this, I came across a term that I hadn't heard before, is triple tax-free, is how to think of the HSA account. And you put it in there without paying income tax on it, you let it grow without paying income tax on that growth, and you take it out without paying tax on it. It rolls over every year, unlike flexible spending accounts. So there's some great advantages to it, it's just getting it funded, and then there's maximum limits on how much you can fund it.
You know, the nice thing too is it's the employee's money. It stays with them. You know, when they leave, it's their HSA. There's no lose it or use it. It accumulates, so.
Well, and it's not going to be one size fits all for everybody. Some people are still going to want to stay with the PPO because it makes sense for their health records.
But we won't have one.
But we would be looking at that this year. This would not be our intention that this be a recurring expense, that we would do this yearly. At least that would not be my expectation at this point,
The seed money, no.
right?
Just depends.
But that's
yeah.
important for our employees to understand that too.
Right now, it's a one-time expense is how it's being treated in the budget process.
When is the proposed money we would go into the HSA savings account?
January 1.
January 1, okay.
But the
So if I
employee
quit
would
January
need
2,
to
I'd have
have
an extra
one set
1,000?
up.
I'm sorry.
So if I quit January 2, I got an extra 1,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But an employee would have to have their account set up prior to that date
Yes,
and
sir.
have the information into HR so that the city could fund
They'll
it.
do all the enrollments and everything. I think enrollments, you're planning doing those in November, Cheryl?
Okay.
I think.
I think the HSC is great. That's a good beginning. I'd like to find out if there was any way that we could have lowered the deductible also, any amount.
We can, it's just going to be recurring money that we're going to have to come up with some recurring revenues to offset that. So, I mean, if council wishes for us to do that, we just need a dollar amount, and we'll be able to show you on Tuesday what additional recurring money we're going to have to find. And that's the key on that, it's recurring, so.
Right.
So if you've got a suggestion, or if any other council,
To go to the minimum?
no, he just said
No,
any.
just any amount.
okay.
To
'Cause we're-
ease the pain on the employee, yeah. Eventually, it's gonna go up higher, I understand, but
Yeah.
instead of just hitting them with the sledgehammer at the beginning, well, maybe easily every year go up or fund what we have to, but
We're effectively lowering it to $750 if we do the stipend.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yep.
Which
What is it now?
1750 is the Plan 1.
No, but
sorry.
right now,
1350.
1350?
Oh, is the minimum the IRS allows.
But on our high deductible plan right
Oh,
now.
no, it's, what is, 1750 on the high deductible right now? 2,700, okay.
2,700.
You would think I'd
700,
know,
so we're
yeah.
dropping it to
So we're dropping it. and then-
$750 with that $1,000 stipend.
another 200 to 300 wouldn't hurt.
So I just need direction from council, if that's
Is-
what, we just need to.
I make a recommendation, we go down on the deductible $200.
Okay,
We're gonna have to find it. No matter how we do it, it's slice and dice it. It's the same pie, same money. Pull it from
Right.
one place, do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, that's why we get paid the big bucks.
This
too.
year, we just need to get creative. Some department
got your
budgets-
budget there.
Some budget.
You got your budget next year, yeah.
If we're doing
Some
this,
department budgets are gonna have to be looked at real hard.
If we're doing this, we really need our employees to be counseled to understand that they need to be saving and planning for this in the future and expecting it to increase.
Oh, they understand. They're very intelligent. We have some very good firefighters and police officers and other employees that, but they understand that. But
Well,
I feel like we're hitting them with a sledgehammer. It's not our fault, I understand. But I think in order to keep the revolving door from opening again, let's ease them into this.
So your suggestion would be that 1750 go down to 1550?
That would be nice.
Okay, I see.
Is that on
Cheryl.
just the one plan, or
Is that?
do you want me to look at both
Both.
plans? That was my clarifying question.
Okay.
Both plans?
Both plans.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
But I think I got a consensus that $1,000 seems to
Yes.
be, and
Yes.
then moving the pay for those police and fire and step plan up to that October 1? Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we're still in items from council. Of course, we can talk about this again if we need to here. Y'all, we're good to move out and okay. We'll go into citizens' communication. Anyone that would like to speak, come on forward. Just give us your name and try to keep your comments 5 minutes at least. We do have some people who aren't here about the budget.
Hello, my name is Anna De Leon Harrison, and I'm a member of the Quilt Guild of Greater Victoria, and I'm here representing them. First of all, we would like to thank the city for allowing us to be a recipient of your HOT funds in the last couple of years, and we hope to continue that. These HOT funds are appreciated and help us to defray the cost of putting on our annual quilt show. In that vein, we also would like to let you know about our means of contributing back to the community. We feel that's an important part of our mission in the Guild. And in doing so, I'd like to tell you about our 2018 fund service project for the year. We have used the Victoria Public Library as a place that we give free quilting lessons. We've done 2 classes so far. But last year, unfortunately, because of Hurricane Harvey, they suffered considerable damage to the room that they not only used for their book sales, but also for where we would teach our classes. So we adopted the Victoria Public Library as our service project for this year. Friday, we plan to deliver 17 quilts that the Quilt Guild has made that are going to be silent auctioned at the Victoria Public Library's September book sale. So we'd like to invite you. Also, I have a couple of quilts to show you. There are 17. They're going to be hanging in the library. And you'll be able to bid on them from the week of the 10th through the 15th of September. So we invite you to help us give back to the community and support the library. Thank you.
Wonderful, Anna.
Thank you.
So that's September 10th through the 15th.
Yes.
That people can go bid.
Yes.
Outstanding. That is very generous. Thank you so much. So I expect all the council members to bid often. Every day, we got to go in there and check those quilts. Thank you so much.
That's possible.
Okay, citizens' communication is still open.
How you doing? I'm Jerry Sepulveda. I represent the VPOA right now. I'm here just to address some of the things that we had issues with. We're really glad that you're looking at the plan and making some better some decisions that benefit a lot of the city employees. One of the things you were talking about where to get the money from. We had a question as far as next year on page 5 of your expenditures. It has on there that $4.6 million is going to be used for employee, that's going to be going out for employees' deductions and claims. Now, is that going to stay the same if we go to the high deductible plan? Because most of the money is going to be paid by the employees. Is this based on the PPO plan where the money is being paid out? Because if we go to the high deductible plan, which would save the city a lot of money, the city employees are paying all the bills up until they meet their deductibles.
Jerry, and I'm sure Cheryl will get up, or, when you're looking at 5, that FY 18-19 projections, that was all based on the 2 high deductible plans that we presented to council the other night. So our Willis Benefit Company and their actuaries are the one that helped develop those.
Okay, because we were trying to figure out if those were based on claims for the PPO or for the high deductible,
It's
because
just
it
a
didn't clarify.
claims period. And when you talk about the city employees are picking up the cost, if you back up one claim, one slide there on page 4, that shows you those pie charts, shows you how much the employees pay for and how much the city plan pays for.
Okay, so but next year, when it's a high deductible, everybody's going to be having to meet that deductible before the city pays any portion. Example is mine. I've been a doctor 10 times this year, got 6 medications. I'm at $1,000. I still have not come close to my $2,700 to meet for the city to pay any portion of it. So if I'm going to the doctor 10 times a year, and I'm barely halfway to meet any deductible, what portion are they going to be putting in? The city can be paying out. It didn't seem like it'd be comparable to last year's.
But also look at our projection for next year. We're showing that based on the high deductible plan, the slide back on 3, we're projecting that where our claims history has been 5.5 million, 5.09 million, we're projecting that 4.42 million. So that's all factored in on employees having first dollar on that high deductible. So that's how we factor that into.
Okay, we're just trying to make sure that was, because it didn't clarify.
I'm sorry.
We didn't see that it specified where.
Okay.
If it was just PPO money or HD money.
Sure.
So that's why we wanted to see,
Sure.
because next year,
It's, when you go back to that slide on 5, it shows what the city's putting in and what the employees are putting in for those. It shows 3.5 is what the city's putting in, and 2.1 is what the employees are putting in, and then there's some other retiree contributions, and that's how you come up with the revenue coming in. And then when you drop down, it's your expenditures is what we're showing, what we anticipate to be spent during those high deductibles. And I see Cheryl getting up, and Gilbert's moving, so they're getting a little nervous about me answering these questions. I know that's what's happening. We're looking at this.
I just wanted to clarify too, that includes dental.
Okay.
As well as medical.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Jerry. Yeah, it includes dental
Okay.
as well as medical. So when you're looking at those contributions, we've got to think about that being the dental plan as well as the medical plan.
Okay, thank
As
you.
well as the expenditures. But Ms. Garrett answered everything perfectly, so.
Did you run Mr. Sebola off?
No,
You
no.
wouldn't sit down?
Back up.
Are you,
Okay.
okay,
I'll wait for discussion, sorry.
okay. Well, that's okay. Citizens communication still open. Anyone else? Come on up.
Hello again, council. Name's Evan McDonald, officer with the Victoria Police Department. I sat down with Cheryl this past week, and we ran my numbers, my salary. My salary, as it is right now, as it will be with the step increase, and as it will be with my senior patrol officer in July of next year. So what we did is we took down base what I take home after all my deductions are taken out. That's this year, and then coming in next year with the proposed high deductible and premium increases. After everything was said and done, I'm looking at taking home only 53% of my salary. And that's with the $4,700 taken out, because I'll be on plan 2. And then I further spoke with Cheryl, and I asked her point blank, are we expected to have this increase? And of course the answer was a resounding yes, just the way the nation's going right now. So what I'm getting at is, am I eventually going to be taking home less than 50% of my salary? That's kind of scary to me. I mean, at what point does it stop? $7,500 out of max pocket for IRS. Who's to say if that goes up, what are we gonna do? I mean, that's terrifying to me. I just bought a house, as I said last time. You know, I expected an increase, but I didn't expect a $2,000 increase. And while I'm very appreciative of the $1,000 stipend, what happens next year? Because more than 50% of my salary is eventually going to be gone. I don't have extra money to put in my HSA. I'm only contributing $50 right now, and that's kind of tight for me. You know, you do the math, 4,700 divided by 12, what are you looking at putting into your HSA every month just to meet that? Moving here, my tax return goes to my high deductible already. So I'm not seeing any more money coming into my life, but I'm seeing more taken out. And it's kind of scary to me. And I just wanted to put that on the table for council, that I did meet with Cheryl and we went over it to see if it was even feasible. And while I appreciate the stipend that's proposed for next year, that will help out a lot. However, after we pass next year, that's going to be really difficult for a lot of these employees to meet that $4,700. And I'm curious, in my life, I'm already working 3 jobs right now. So I'm curious, how many more hours do I have to pour into those jobs just so I can meet my medical expenses? So I just wanted to let council know about that, let them know that I've done my research with Cheryl, and it's just looking pretty scary to me. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. I'm glad you took the time to meet with her and then come share that with us. It helps. Okay, citizens' communication is still open. Anyone else?
How are you doing? My name is Christian Perez with the Victoria Police Department. I'm also the Vice President for the Victoria Police Officers Association. Looking at the high deductible plan, going from where we are now to that, the comment was made that we need to better prepare ourselves for the changes that are coming. Recently found out my wife is pregnant a while back and started preparing myself. She's now 5 months pregnant. She's not due till the end of January. So preparing myself for the new baby coming into our lives when we're already on the PPO family health plan, and now we're going to be moving to the high deductible family health plan, not the single that all the slides are showing. So it's easy to say, hey, here's a rate for a single person, which we look at most of our police department, fire department, any employee for the city, we're on the family deductible. My wife does not work. We have children at home. We have 2 vehicles for her to be able to get my kids around, for me to be able to get to work. We work a 4-day on, 4-day off schedule. And on my 4 days off, I spend more time having to work extra duty jobs to be able to pay for the medical bills that are already coming in for ultrasounds, for the doctor's visits, for the hospital to get that set up. So when January 1 comes around and now that out-of-pocket expense is now changing, you can only prepare so much. Like McDonald said, how many hours do we have to work to be able to pay for these things? I have 2 little girls at home, a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. I sleep half the day because I have to work at night because our jobs are later in the day. HEB that we work is 5 to midnight. My kids are asleep. When I get up, they're at school. I'm working days, they're at school all day. I get off of work, homework in bed. When do I see or spend time with my family? 6 years in the military, deployments, being gone in trainings. I got out of the military to spend more time with them and to have that family. To come to Victoria, a small city, and thinking I'm going to have that to only be at work all the time. I think I know more people in Crossroads on a first name basis than I do my kids sometimes. When they ask me how I'm doing and how my family is, and I say, oh, same old, because sometimes I can't answer that question. My wife is having to deal with it on her own still. Those are the questions we're here asking, and when we're looking at, the general fund and pulling funds from somewhere else, we do these things all the time, and we just have to deal with it. I've been here 2 years, going on 3 years now, and every year we've seen in the Advocate how we do Boot Fest. How many years has Boot Fest taken a hit? Well, we've made no money, but yet we continue to have that. That's just an issue that I'm bringing up that I personally see. Whatever is in the background, I don't know. But I've been out there working it on the corner of a street to make sure people don't drive through when it's hot all day in full uniform. I don't go and enjoy the festivities. but then we see in the Advocate public record where we lost money. Could those funds be used somewhere else, not just for insurance, but other areas that need it? I understand that Boot Fest is something else, and that's just me speaking my opinion. But that's why we're here, and that's why we're fighting for this. We can only do so much ourselves before we have to look at other avenues to provide for our families and still have a life.
Just, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Boot Fest has paid out a hotel occupancy tax, and we cannot use that. It can only be used in those certain areas for tourism, and so we cannot use that in the general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a different fund. And I know it's confusing because there's multiple funds, and a lot of those funds can't be used to augment the general fund expense.
Okay, citizens communication still open? Anyone else? Okay, now before I close it, I mean, you can come back again. When are we meeting again on the,
We're meeting Tuesday next week,
Budget.
Thursday next week, the following Tuesday, and the following Tuesday. So
Okay.
we've got, that's the 4th, the 6th, the 11th. I'm sorry, the 11th is the last day for budget, the last vote scheduled for the budget. So the 4th, the 6th, and the 11th.
okay. I just wanted everybody to hear that.
Sure.
Okay, I don't see anyone jumping up. We'll close citizens communication. And again, we have just 2 public hearings, there will be no vote. I will open the public hearing. Yes, you can get up and speak during the public hearing too, though. That's fine, if anyone wants to. So C1.
C1 is a second public hearing on the 2018-2019 City of Victoria tax rate. On this, the August 28th of 2018, 5 p.m. here in City Council Chambers at 107 West Juan Land Street.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on C1 if anyone would like to speak about the tax rate. Okay. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing on C1 and move to C2.
C2 is the second public hearing on the City of Victoria budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 on this August 28th, 2018 at 5 p.m. here in City Council Chambers, 107 West Juan Land Street.
We'll open the public hearing on C2, which is the budget. If anyone would like to speak. Council, y'all probably want to talk about it a little bit at some point? Okay. We can do that after. I'll just close the public hearing. That's okay. I just want to make sure. Seeing no one else get up, we'll close the public hearing. Would y'all like to discuss anything on the budget while we're here? I mean, I have some remarks, but
I just wanted to mention something else on insurance, what I consider a bright light of the fact that we have insurance, and I'm going to look at Cheryl, but, excuse me. A couple of years ago, when I was elected to council, I chose to get on the city insurance. The premiums were incredibly lower than what I had been paying. And Cheryl has said a couple of times, she's talked about the fact that when people go to the doctor, they pay the negotiated rate. She said that a couple times. She says the negotiated rate, and it just kind of goes by. But when I switched to the city insurance mid-year, some ongoing treatments that I'd been having, I'd been paying my part at the doctor's office. A lot of those dropped in half, some of them by a third, which means that the negotiated rate that the city has negotiated with our providers is a benefit in and of itself of the city's insurance. And when you're on that insurance and it's what you pay, I understand because I'm on it now, and any change is shocking. But I really want to make that point. I think our taxpayers deserve to know that the city is doing what it can for its employees through negotiations and through other areas. And I really wanted to point that out as well. That is a benefit of having insurance.
actually, it kind of, I think that segues, Jan, into something I asked for this afternoon. We didn't get to, if you're interested, Charmel can email this to you. I've always been interested in total compensation compared to actual take-home pay. And because if you really look at it at times, it's pretty astounding. And so I asked for an actual pay stub. This is nothing, this does not have the employee's name on it. I don't know who it would be. It's, their total take-home cash money in the bank is $51,000 $600 roughly. But total benefits for this person is $44,000. 21, a little over 21,000 is what we pay, and they're paying about 23,000. So they're paying for $45,000 in benefits, but their cash is 51. So their total comp of what they receive, the part we pay, the 21,000 and the 51 in salary is 73,000. It's astounding when you stop and look at your paycheck stub, you know. This does not, the 51, I guess, is after tax. No taxes are on here. So it's frustrating. What I would say about on the budget, not to beat a dead horse here, but it takes a long time for us to steer this ship in one direction or another. And I'm speaking just to council members. You know, we have this much money in our M&O and this much in our debt service. And if you want to increase that M&O and do different things over there, you got to start turning that ship early. And if this discussion comes up every year, and we're faced with 10% increases in insurance again, and they're here and they're upset and we're upset and we can't figure out what to do, you really got to start thinking about turning that ship now, you know. Gil, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, we can't just, short of just raising taxes. Sure, we can do that. You know, we'll have that whole subset of people calling us in about that, right? So we raised taxes last year, didn't we? Y'all remember, a penny. We had 2 officer positions and a few things, 2 police officers. So we have choices. Anyway, I don't believe we have anything else on our agenda. Did y'all have any other?
E1.
E1? Oh, I'm sorry, yep. But after that, we have nothing else. Did y'all want any other comments on the budget before we move to E1? Okay, we'll go to E1 then.
Item E1 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the First Amendment to the Fire Station #1 roof replacement contract with Trumbull Construction Incorporated, doing business as RBT Roofing, to clarify the contract term, commencement date, and expected completion date of the project, and declaring an effective date.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Is there any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Okay, item passes. We do have one item. Joel, did you want to come give us a little bad news, I guess you could say? It's not that bad, but.
Yes, council, thank you for having me here this evening. I do have some unfortunate news this evening in regards to Boot Fest 2018. Last week, we were informed by KPG Commercial, who manages the One O'Connor Plaza, that the elevator to the roof of the building is out of order. Due to the cost of that, the time it would take to get the materials to fix it, and the time it would take to schedule the maintenance, it wouldn't be available in time for Boot Fest. In communicating with the fireworks company ProFX, there's no safe way to get their materials up to the top of the roof, without the elevator. In consulting with the fireworks company, the City of Victoria Fire Marshal, there are unfortunately no other structures that are safe to stage that fireworks show from, to fire that fireworks show from. So at this time, we've also communicated with our sponsor, Clean Core International, Robbie and Tammy Birch, who were committed to the Boot Fest 2018 fireworks show, as they have been since 2011, the first Boot Fest. At this time, we won't be able to have the fireworks show as part of Boot Fest 2018.
And just to repeat again, that was all donated, the cost of those fireworks.
Yes.
We'll make sure people know that.
Yes.
The city manager informed me that this afternoon, and I'm like, there's no way. Come on, I'll get some guys. We'll carry them up the stairs over there. But it's hard to believe they can't fix that elevator.
It is
disappointing.
unfortunate. We did discuss that with KPG Commercial, but unfortunately, it's a matter of a cost. They're working through insurance right now. It's a matter of cost and time to repair it.
And I think we need to thank them too, because they
Absolutely.
do let us use their grounds for Boot Fest, and they've been very generous.
They're a wonderful partner and
Generous through the year, so
it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, so, but,
I don't know how to fix the elevator. I don't.
No, there's probably not anybody that wants to put all those fireworks in their helicopter and.
I thought the same thing. I don't know too many people with helicopters. But there are people who enjoy that, and I don't want to diminish from the events for the public. So anyway,
Yes,
maybe something will, something will happen between now and then, but I understand.
Yes,
We wanted everybody to know early.
This won't affect any other aspect of the festival, yes.
Okay, all right.
Joel's gonna go ahead and post that out on Facebook, so people will start, that word will get out.
Thank you.
They can
Thank you,
blame,
Joel.
they can blame me or something, I
Well,
don't know.
no, it's, no one should be
I
blamed. It's an
know.
unfortunate situation.
Well, okay,
My children will get to bed a little earlier that night.
we're not gonna do that's correct. We have no need for the executive session, so is there any further business?
No, sir.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.